If you like this episode, please subscribe, share with others, rate and review so we can continue to bring you great programming.
This is The Thing About Cars, a podcast for car enthusiasts and the people who love them.
Start a show. Shortest episode ever.
Shortest episode ever. Hello, this is Mickey Desai coming to you with another episode of The Thing About Cars. Around the table, we've got Dave. How are you, Dave?
You know, I've lost my voice, so today I'll be voicing Phil the Bollard.
Phil the Bollard. Got it. Yes, I was curious about your voice and your laryngitis. I'm glad I can hear you just fine.
It's a little scratchy, and I figure, Phil the Bollard, because he lives on racetracks, probably sounds like he has a 2 camel pack a day habit.
Yes, that's right. Tim, are you back on the East Coast?
I am back from Portland and the greater Oregon coastline.
Very cool. Yes, I was very jealous of all your pictures. I've yet to make it out to that part of the world and very much need to go. And from across the pond, we've got Misty. How are you, Misty?
Still poorly, but alive and kicking.
Excellent. I interrupted you guys a moment ago. What were you about to ask, Tim?
I wanted to know if Tim had any idea who was driving NASCAR on the 21st.
That'll be Kimi Räikkönen,
Our
Formula One driver.
Favorite Finn, leave me alone. I know what I'm doing. I actually have that shirt and I wear it to work a lot. And my manager's like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Perfect.
To which my response is, yeah, Belgian. Well, I was telling Phil the Bollard, my manager, he grew up and was born and raised in Australia, but his mom is Belgian, so he has a Belgian, passport, and he keeps threatening me because I've had the Panini pandemic thing. That if I try to come back to work, he's going to send me to the company doctor, and I'm like, that's okay, I speak Dutch. You don't even speak Flemish, Belgian.
Oh,
so.
He's from the wrong end of Belgium, right?
Right.
Yeah, well,
right.
So I had somebody tell me, yeah, he's from Australia. He has like major experience dealing with dangerous animals, so you're probably not going to phase him too much.
Right.
And
Right.
Flemish is probably appropriate for how I sound today.
Right.
So does that mean you're going to be making an appearance at Spa in a couple of weeks?
Highly possible.
So-
You never know where I'm going to turn up.
Today's episode, I think, is going to be a pretty short one. We don't have a guest. We have guests lined up for like the next 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, but not for today. So we'll do a quick trivia question, and then I found this post on Reddit that I wanted to discuss. It's about the BG engine flush, which some of us may recognize what an BG engine flush is. And I'll tell you, if you don't, I'll tell you what that is in a second. But first, our trivia question is this one was from Tim some weeks ago. Tim, our trivia czar. Thank you, Tim, as always. What was the origin of the Cadillac Escalade name? Was choice A, Escalade am I saying it right? Is it Escalade or Escalade?
I would say Escalade.
Escalade. Okay.
Escalade.
So
Potato.
yeah, right.
It
You
is
say
the
potato. I say
the
vodka.
Escalade.
Escalade. Yes.
Yeah.
The Escalade. Escalade is the name of the rugged pass between the Monte Rosa and La Barra Mountains in the Swiss Alps. B, Escalade is a noun that means the scaling of fortified walls using ladders. C, Escalade was the name of the ship Norwegian Discoverer rolled. I'm sorry, Tim, I can't get it without laughing. Escalade was Amundsen, yes, sailed to the North Pole in 1906. Was that the name of the ship? What would you guys? We'll answer that one at the end of the show. Do I need to read any of those again?
I just wanted to hear. Yeah. You have to read them until you can say Amundsen.
Amundsen. Choice C. Escalade was the name of the ship Norwegian discoverer Roald Amundsen sailed to the North Pole in 1906. Did I get it right?
Close enough.
Close enough. Very good. All right.
I'm just trying to buy time for the show.
Filler. Draw it out.
Filler, laughing.
Horseshoes,
yes.
hand grenades.
I'm happy to be
Close enough.
the target of the levity for this thing. So, BG service. Who doesn't know what a BG service is?
I think I kind of know.
Right. So
I assume that's how you get the Brothers Gibb out of your carburetor.
I was about to say, is that when like Andy Gibb, flushes your radiator in his falsetto.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So a BG,
Tune in the car, tune in the car, tune in
Get
the
the
car.
and that's the thing about cars, folks. We'll see you again.
The musical edition.
No, so
I would have gone for Gap in the Plug, but you know.
right. So so in the US anyway, I don't know about internationally, but in the US, when you take your car in for some sort of service to the actual dealership, BG is a company, and it's literally the initials BG, that they make these aftermarket additives and cleaning products that you're supposed to put into your crankcase and your brake fluid lines and stuff like that to flush out and clean various systems. And they have these agreements with these dealerships to sell their stuff as part of BG services, right? So the dealership can sell you a BG service like a BG coolant additive and stuff like that. And the question is, and I hear this question quite frequently actually, is it worth it? Do I need to have the BG stuff in my crankcase or in the oil or whatever? And this person on Reddit had a pretty good set of takedowns for each of these BG services. And I just wanted to walk through it real quick. So does that make sense though, in terms of describing what a BG service is and what the BG company is? Okay.
Yeah.
So to our listener, keep in mind that these are just opinions. We're reading the opinions of a person on Reddit. And what we're going to discuss here are our own opinions on these services and whether or not they're warranted. So
I get an opinion this time.
You always have an opinion, don't you?
It's kind of like standard.
There's nothing wrong with that. I kind of like that.
Sometimes 3 or 4.
Yeah.
At
We're
least.
bracing ourselves, girding our loins.
At least. Poor Mickey knows better than to comment on anything about food on Facebook, because Donna is like right there going, hey, what's your opinion on sugar and cornbread? And then it just kind of evolves from there.
It's so true. It's so true. Okay, so BG service. This person, the general consensus for this person says that most, if not all, of BG services are designed to flush your wallet and not just your car. So the only brake fluid that this person recommends, the only brake fluid flush this person recommends is a BG service. You need to change your brake fluid every so often because the brake reservoir cap is not 100% airtight, and you can't really mess up DOT3, DOT 3 fluid, brake fluid. But everything else, he says, forget it. Port injected engines do not need induction cleaning regularly. The valves are cleaned naturally by the injected fuel. Direct injection engines, yes, they can benefit from an induction service as carbon buildup is a natural occurrence in direct injection engines and can cause performance issues when it gets severe. So let's talk about that one first. The next one is coolant additive. But I think he's right. I don't think you actually need to do anything. Someone posted another picture recently that says, is all this stuff snake science? And then the picture was that section of an auto parts store that had all the oil additives, all the fuel additives, the moly additives for high mileage oil, the Techron, the gum out, stuff like that. And are they worth it? And are they just snake oil? And my response was, there's probably only 2 products on that shelf that are worth it. Everything else is garbage.
So to clarify first, also just to say it for the Dave-like idiots in the world, BG is a brand name.
BG is a brand name.
Yeah, it's like STP or Kellogg's or Metamucil.
Correct.
Yeah. So it looks on a statement of work like it's an abbreviation for something like boiler gunkification.
Right.
But it's a process that has been basically BG is paying service companies to use their name to look like a process.
Yeah.
Well, you're adding their chemicals.
Yeah.
In particular. So some of it harkens back to when the fluids that we put in our vehicles weren't made to as high of a specification as they are now. There's and also certain parts of the engine weren't made to, well, in the early days of fuel injectors, a lot of them would tend to get gummed up, especially if you used a lower grade of gasoline. And by that, I mean one with fewer detergents in it. And I know this because my dad was a lifelong employee of Chevron. And depending on the design of the fuel injector, some of them were more susceptible to clogging, some of them were not, depending on how hard you drive a vehicle. Actually, if you like literally my mother-in-law last year, her Ford Escape started running roughly and idling poorly. Took it to an independent mechanic, and they said, "Oh yeah, you probably have it looks like you got a fuel injector or two that's not spraying properly." So they did add some off-the-shelf fuel injector cleaner and drove it around like they stole it for a few tens of miles, and the thing came back running, as nicely as the day it came off the showroom floor. And I know that oil service. I actually remember back in the late 80s, early 90s, there was a NASCAR driver who was sponsored by a particular brand of oil, and they did a commercial because he had won a race, and that brand of oil was notorious for getting sludge in a standard usage by your John Doe on the street. And one of the things he actually mentioned was, yeah, we ran 500 miles at North Wilkesboro Speedway, not a hint of sludge. And it's it was like, oh, well, you're actually like addressing the fact that your car's sponsor has a bad reputation. But I've heard of other, like the engine that's in my Nissan, the SR20DE, was also found in the Infiniti G20 or Nissan Primera, depending on what country you're in.
Right.
And I spoke to a Nissan mechanic who was doing some emergency repairs on my friend's engine after he had missed a shift at Road Atlanta and revved it to 50% over its RPM limit. And he said, yeah, I'm used to doing top end rebuilds on these motors because we get a lot of little old ladies who drive these nice Infinitis and never rev it over 3,000 RPM, and also are very bad about their oil change intervals, and that would lead to certain parts of the top end gunking up, gumming up, and causing major repairs to be needed. But that's 25-year-old technology and lubricants and poor maintenance practices.
Right.
So basically, this is like the liver detox tea.
That's exactly where I was going. I was thinking this is essentially like dietary supplements.
That's exactly right.
All right,
Yeah.
Phil the Bollard, get out of my head. You're not good enough to be there by yourself. It's a scary place.
Trust me, I know. It's like there's so many doors. But I was thinking of that exactly when you said that with the sludge. This would be a little bit like, I drank this milk and it didn't make me vomit, which is kind of a really low brand standard for milk. Kind of the same thing is by using our products, we don't gum up your injectors. Well, you would kind of hope that would be a design specification.
Right, exactly. So to move on with this person's list, just to interrupt real quick, and we can head back into that. But this person says all these other BG services are not warranted, and the specific takedown for each one has a series of F-bombs in it that I'm trying to censor as I read it. But the BG coolant additive, he says, is straight BS for Asian manufacturers and contains literally every additive compound that is specifically excluded by Asian manufacturers from their coolants. It literally says right on the bottle, phosphate free, where an Asian manufacturers use phosphate enhanced OAT in their coolant. So CVT ATF fluid additive during the warranty period, he's like, get out of here, because that voids your warranty. Factory warranty does not cover the usage of aftermarket additives in your transmission, and any service writer selling it to a customer with an in-warranty vehicle should be ashamed of themselves, especially since they do not inform the customer that doing so voids their warranty.
Right.
BG engine flush, in this case, this person says their opinion is that it's a wallet flush. If the oil is changed regularly and the engine is not abused, to your point, Tim, there is zero reason to run an engine cleaner that will soften and loosen deposits, allowing them to circulate with the engine and clog up any screens or filters. So I completely get that, completely agree with that. Not to mention that, like people like this product called Ocean, what's it called?
Seafoam.
Seafoam, yes, Seafoam, and it has its uses. I'm not saying it's a bad product, but the danger to putting Seafoam in an engine that's never seen Seafoam is that you're going to expose all your oil leaks. It'll clean the thing out well enough so that things will start leaking. So yeah.
There's an old adage of the best additive to add to your crankcase is just more engine oil.
Just more engine
to
oil.
fill it up properly.
Yeah.
Which reminds me, I've got to take Claudette in for a service soon, so I'm just gonna like kiss my service people at the Mazda place over in Hofdorp, because all they do is what they're supposed to. There's none of this pushing additives crap. And then they vacuum her out, wipe her down, leave a hang tag with her name on there because they're the best dealer ever.
So is kissing your mechanic a thing in the Netherlands?
Depends on if you're above the river or below the river. Above the river, it's 2 kisses. Below the river, it's 3.
Yes.
I will tell you, I tried it in Midtown, did not go over well.
Wrong river.
Yeah.
Wrong river.
And maybe you're just going to the wrong shop.
I was going to say, Midtown Tire and Battery has strongly, encouraged me to go to another.
Yeah. On the other hand, I think maybe my mechanics are cuter than yours and possibly a little more tolerant.
Well, I probably shouldn't have gone for his ear.
Misty, question for you about Dutch car dealerships. Here in the U.S., they're actually independent entities.
Yes.
I know in England, they're actually a part of the corporate structure of the individual car manufacturer. How is it?
You just want a rant, don't you? Because that's what's exactly is going to happen. That they are a very much like the U.S. And when I bought Lulabelle, who was my Hyundai i10, and Claudette, I bought her from Bach Hyundai and Mazda, which was literally within walking distance from my house. My husband at the time had also bought the Hyundai i40, and they were calling him going, yeah, we've got so much market for this. We want to sell you a new one. He's like, okay, fine. Laws had changed, etc. It was starting to be cheaper for him to go into a company lease car. That was when he wanted the CX-5. And this would have been our 4th car from this particular dealership. But Eric was working with a lease company, so there were some, wheeling and dealing going on. And basically what happened is he ended the owner, Paul Bach, and I will put his name out there because I do not like that man, ended up calling me on my phone when I was sitting in the chair at the beauty salon getting my hairs did, yelling at me that he had been holding this, no. I mean, like yelling at me. I'm like, dude, that is the worst mistake you have ever made. I came home, I told Eric, I said, we will set both of these cars on fire and push them in the river before this man touches my car ever again.
My goodness.
And this was literally over 200 euros, which he would have easily recouped with all of the service from my car and the service from the CX-5. So instead of going literally 5 minutes down the road, I now drive 30 minutes to Hofdorp.
Did he get 2 kisses or 3 kisses?
I think actually teeth were involved.
That was a swift kick to the taint.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you call him a klootzak?
And a lul, and a part a little, and a boodaloo, and a few other choice words that have to do with anatomy and animals and probably some illnesses. So and I just told him, I looked him in the eye. I said, I will set my car on fire and push it in the river before I ever let you touch it again. And when I started taking Claudette to the dealer in Hofdorp, I had them change the license plate frames because I said, I'm not driving around with free advertising for this such and such. Had to pull on my Southern there for a minute, but what made me so mad too was that like 2 days later, he ran into Eric at the gas station, which is like right down the road where all the dealerships go to fill up their cars. And he apologized to Eric, but not to me. I was like, dude's got my phone number. I know he's got my phone number because he called me and interrupted me having my hairs did. I was just so mad, and the guy that we had originally bought the car from, really great salesman, never treated me, but this guy was, was like telling my husband, your wife's got a big mouth. My husband's like, yeah, I know. You ain't telling me nothing I don't know. So, and I actually called Mazda Netherlands and filed a complaint, and they sent me a really pretty keychain.
Oh, nice.
We're sorry you're upset. Here, have a keychain.
Yeah,
Right.
well, I mean, it did escalate into a formal complaint, and I just said, listen, I said, I will not, no, I don't care. I mean, it's literally 5 minutes down the road from my house. I'll
Okay.
drive 30 minutes down the highway before I let that man touch my car.
I,
And
I'm gonna try that at home. Next time my partner is really pissed off at me, I'm gonna hand him a keychain. I'm sorry. Here.
that's how it works. But no,
And
they are most definitely, owned by, private individuals, but there is definite attention from corporate if you have a complaint.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Well,
and like I said, this would have been our fourth car from him, and he
Mhm.
wanted to completely trash our relationship for what would amounted to about 300 euros profit, which he would have easily recouped with all the service and the changing of the tires, because when my husband gets a lease car, it always comes with summer and winter tires. So you have to store the tires, which you have to pay for, and then switch them out, and and all of the service. And he just screwed that harder than Tommy Lee did Pamela.
so, Mickey, you were flushing things.
yes, I was flushing things.
Speaking, yeah, just say
Including this dealership's reputation.
Right. Well, I mean, to finally address Misty's rant is that it's clear that some people think about the battle and not the war, and all they want to do is win the battle and not the war, and that's always surprising to find that people think that way. But the last thing on the flushing question here is that the last thing that they sell is that unless this guy says unless you have a moldy / mildewy smell coming from your AC vents, an AC cleaner is absolutely not required, and you can avoid the musty, mildewy smell by allowing the fans to run for a few minutes after turning off your engine to allow air to pass over any condensed water on the evaporator and evaporate that residual water. And that'll keep your stuff from smelling musty.
and hopefully avoid Legionnaire's disease.
Yes,
That would
exactly.
be awesome too.
That is
Yeah.
always a benefit. Yes.
Benefits.
Right. Yeah. And you don't have to do it after you have shut the engine off. I mean, what I typically do is on the drive home, when I'm in that last 2-3 minutes of the drive home, I turn off the AC, put it on fresh air, and dry out the condenser so it doesn't get musty and moldy.
Much to my wife's chagrin, I do exactly the same thing.
Right.
I
But
just
it's so hot outside. Well,
I just try to avoid AC as much as possible. I mean, even like right now, it's miserable hot here. Like it's like 80 degrees in my house.
your house doesn't have AC in the Netherlands, right?
No. But on the other hand, I want to invite you all to the premiere of my garage band, the Humidititties.
Well, we'll be there for the video at least.
Yeah,
Yes.
So, but I mean, even when I'm out on the road and it's this warm, I'm sorry, I prefer 260 AC, which is 2 windows down, 60 plus miles an hour. I like it better. It doesn't mess up my sinuses. I grew up in the 70s, 80s, 90s in Georgia. We didn't have AC. We had a ceiling fan and screen doors. So, and that's what and I'm really not used to AC after working here. We don't even have I used to work at a cemetery in Sandy Springs, and it was like the office was like a morgue. It's like, dude, we don't store the bodies here. They're outside. Why is it like 5 degrees in here? And it would mess up my sinuses to
I think
no end.
we've lost the art of learning how to stay cool with a glass of lemonade in one hand and a fan in the other. And
Iced tea. I got a
Iced
fan
tea,
over here, and
exactly.
if it gets too hot, I'll go and run my t-shirt under the water, wring it out, and sit here in front of the fan.
Exactly.
I mean, that's like I said, that's how I grew up. And if it gets too god awful hot, I'll just go to the shed and crawl in the chest freezer for about 5 minutes. It'd be all right.
Right.
It'd be all right.
Yes.
Call in the
And
chest
so
freezer.
to avoid all this flushing,
Not chest
I was gonna-
freezer, but
I
chest
was gonna
freezer.
say, call in the chest freezer. Crawl in the chest freezer. The new hit single by the
Humidity.
Yeah.
Humidity.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
It is warm. But yeah, basically, yeah, this is all just like detox tea multi-level marketing.
It's snake oil. It's just snake oil by the most part. It's an excuse for unscrupulous dealerships in particular to sell a product because BG has this relationship with all these individual dealerships. And so there's a word I'm looking for. It's a profit something. It's just pure, they get kickbacks from BG from selling the stuff. And when I worked in a dealership, there were mechanics who would save the pull tabs off the BG cans because the BG guy who came around to stock the dealerships with their product would give all these mechanics like an extra quarter or an extra buck for every tab that they had pulled. And so I'm like, it's just unscrupulous. There's just no need for it. By and large, cars will never need that stuff. And yeah, if you take care of your car and you drive it properly, you generally don't need to do anything. But the other opinion that I do keep is that Techron is probably the only thing that does what it says it'll do. Chevron Techron.
I don't understand why all these auto manufacturers just don't crack down on this and say, you're screwing up the car.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it. Before I stop selling you cars and you can sell auto rickshaws or something. I don't know.
Yeah, but you know what? If the car gets ruined out of warranty, it's faster somebody's going to need a new car.
True.
There is that. There's that.
So,
but only after it's out of warranty. That's
unless what you're pouring in there voids the warranty, and then
Right. So we're a little over 20 minutes now. Does anyone have anything else before we answer our trivia question?
Do you want to know?
I was going to say, this is awfully free ranging today.
Yeah.
Maybe something about cars?
I was about to say.
Let's see. I have a tale from the rental car aisles.
Yeah.
Rented a Mazda 6 sedan, and which was I found nice to drive.
That's what my husband's getting in February.
Oh, good. Yeah, I think he'll be able to fit all right. I'm only 6'5", sorry, but
I'll just cut his ankles off or something.
Okay, good. Yeah,
I got a solve.
It was a nice height adjustable seat, even though it was manual adjustments being a rental car, because rental cars are now generally the bottom of the accessory line instead of the top, as I've been told. But I had fun using the cruise control where you can set a following distance to the car in front of you. It works out nicely. And also, although a couple of times one of the nanny devices, not necessarily part of the cruise control, but would scream at me to hit the brakes, even though we were just driving around in normal traffic. I think it happened a few times when we were going around, let's say a right-hand turn, and there was traffic coming in from the opposite direction, and maybe it misidentified those cars as heading towards us rapidly. But it happened to me twice, happened to my wife once. Not sure why. Of course, it wasn't our car, so it's not like we're taking it to the dealer to have them troubleshoot it, or if they say that, oh well, they all do that. But
it was just worried about you, hon.
Yes, as we were screaming along at 2 miles an hour over the speed limit. It was generally a pleasurable rental.
The Mazda 6 is on my list of cars to check out when I'm ready to buy some replacement for the appliance that I'm driving right now.
Yeah.
Well, if you'll come visit in February, I'll come pick you up from the airport.
Okay. Isn't February start of daffodil season or tulip season or something like that?
Yeah, we'll go to the cook-off.
You don't have to sound so happy about it, Misty.
That's kind of like saying, "Oh my God, Mickey, we're having a party. You don't want to come, do you?"
It's kind of like Atlanta. It's kind of like people in Atlanta going, "Yes, we'll go to the World of Coca-Cola."
Yes.
Yes, we'll go.
The party thing hits home, Dave. I've heard that way too many times.
All
right. Our trivia question was, Grand Trivia Auto, what was the origin of the Cadillac Escalade name? Is it a noun that means the scaling of fortified walls using ladders? Is it the name of the rugged pass between the Monte Rosa and La Barra Mountains in the Swiss Alps? Or is Escalade the name of the ship the Norwegian discoverer Roald, I can say this, I don't know why I'm tying myself in tongues over it, Roald Amundsen sailed to the North Pole in 1906? Dave, which is your choice? Phil the Bollard, what's your choice?
Phil the Bollard says it is the word that means scaling fortified walls with ladders.
Misty.
I was kind of going for the opposite, the antonym of escargot,
Oh,
because it's faster than a snail, but that wasn't one of my choices. So I'm going with rolled Amundsen.
Rolled Amundsen.
Yeah.
Tim, do you remember the answer?
I think it's the scaling the walls, but it's been a little bit of time.
That is correct. It is a noun that means the scaling of fortified walls using ladders. Escalade. So
as one does.
As one does. Thank you, Tim, for the excellent trivia question. And thanks you guys for the excellent episode today. And thanks to our listeners for being a part of whatever it is we're trying to do with the show. We will look forward to seeing you or hearing you with another episode in about a week. So take care, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Thank you for listening. This has been The Thing About Cars. We'll see you on the road.